ended up selling them, the building, and we're working with them, trying to restore, getting those jobs back as best we can. Hopefully they get the post office. They have a bid out to replace all the post office, their letter carrier machines, their vehicles. They want to replace them with electric. So hopefully we can get that there. Mike and I have been working with the big, huge announcement that we're excited about, $2.3 billion with GM and LG Chemical that's going to be coming here and building the batteries for GM's trucks. This is exciting because if you take Lordstown Motors, which is electric vehicles, and you take the electric batteries that will be made here, we could become the future of the automotive world, because all vehicles are going to be electric, is what they're telling us. If we can make our area the hub of that, right now most of these batteries are made in Asia. If they could be made here and made right here in the Midwest, that's exciting. And we've been working with President Trussell to get research and development started at YSU and start a research and development center out in Lordstown, so these companies can come there, get research as the batteries get better and better and smaller as we saw with the computers. My first computer was a TRS-80 that had a cassette. Then it went floppy disk, and then it went those other disks, then it went CD-ROMs, and now everything's on the internet. So as things are changing, we're trying to keep our area ahead of the curve, so we're there already 3 steps ahead. And as Mike said, that's one thing that really ticks us off is the 3 C's. And I told the governor this when I had breakfast with him a couple months ago. Don't forget us. When you were running, you said you would not forget the little guys. Don't forget us. And he promised he wouldn't. So we're holding his feet to that fire. We're going to make sure that we get our say and we get our investments back to this area. Part of it's going to be working with Jobs Ohio to get and keep that LG plant with GM working, that company, that they're a joint venture together. We're working with Eastern Gateway to Community College because not everybody needs to go to college at a traditional 4-year facility. They could go at Eastern Gateway and work at LG Chemical. But these plants do take some type of mathematical skills. You do have to have some type of education. So what kind of programs do they need? We're trying to identify that with the new company and with these with institutions like Eastern Gateway Community College. So these are some of the things that we've been trying to work on to help our area to keep it on the cusp of the cutting edge of the new technology of what we're seeing in the future. If you look at downtown Youngstown and see the transformation that's going on down there, it's exciting. If you see what's going on in downtown Warren, it's slow, but it's coming. Robbins Theater just had its opening. I went to it. It was crazy. It was beautiful, and they had a great show. Sold out. There were 1,400 people in downtown Warren Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday because they had their show. All the restaurants were full down there. The quality of life is returning. There are a lot of good things going on. Our area is starting to pick up, and we're excited to be part of that revolution, and we're going to continue to do that. And one thing Mike and I am proud of too is we bring Columbus up here. We brought the governor up a couple times. We brought the president of the Senate up. We've had EPA, ODNR, so they don't forget about us down there. We're 3 hours away. It's a long drive. We make it every week, but sometimes they forget to make the drive back for us. We brought them up here, and they've been here. It's only been a year, and I think the governor's been up here 3 or 4
times. Yeah.
And more than any other governor. And it doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican, because together we still have the same problems. And it doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. It's a community problem. It's going to take a community solution. I don't care. I'll work with anybody to get this done. So I'm glad to have Mike there on the other side working with us, and that's how we're able to try and get a lot of these things accomplished, and we've done a lot in a short time. So we're pretty excited about that.
And I think before we open up for questions, I think there's something that Sean and I think, because we've had a lot of people really excited about our relationship and about the bipartisan, and I think where Sean and I's particular magic is, both sides of our parties have players within inside that party that don't like what we do, that don't like this bipartisan, that think that we should be at war with each other. That's horrible. That's a horrible approach to life, because all that does is hurt us. If we're not united, we are nothing. I mean, Abraham Lincoln said that. A house divided cannot stand. We could have him and I could sit over coffee, and we could have debate after debate, and we could talk points of interest. We could talk about different subjects. We could talk about different facts that we feel with each other. And over the last year and a half of our friendship, we've actually convinced each other to change our opinions on different subjects here and there. And that's what being a normal human being is about. So I think the thing I'm trying to say is Sean and I have a way about us where someone in our party gets too uppity, we are able to sit down with them and bring them back to the table and calm down the situation a little bit and not always have to go to war to try to make a point. Sometimes being civil, it can go a long way. Civil discourse is a beautiful thing. And I think that's our message. I think we're going to get a lot more work done by doing that instead of just trying to make headlines. Him and I, we don't need to be in the headlines. We just want to get this work done and bring jobs. On that note, I'm going to open it up for questions.
Let's go first. Who takes care of the roads, Route 7, Market Street, going into town?
Well, Route 7, that would be a state road.
Is that
Yeah,
the state?
that would be ODOT.
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 And you have nothing to do with it?
Well, we love to have something to do with ODOT. I don't know if ODOT wants to have anything to do with us. So we're constantly reaching out to ODOT. So this is the things I know about ODOT, and I think he knows a little bit more than me. So I'll let him speak after I do real quick. ODOT has all these different branches of ODOT. So for me being the new guy, it almost seems like its own nation within a nation. Like case in point, people in Austintown on Route 11 and Campbell on Route 11 have a problem with, in Austintown, they had to fix the fence and they had to fix some of the sewer drains because they were having a little bit of a rat problem and a little bit of a safety problem. So they went down and they cut down everyone's trees, and the people that live right on Route 11 now, their backyards are exposed to all the traffic on Route 11. And down by Canfield, we get off at the X ramp, there's a series of condominiums that want a sound barrier wall because it's so loud there. And so I've reached out, and then there's a couple smaller issues. I've reached out to ODOT, and when you talk to the local ODOT guys, they're the most wonderful human beings in the world, and they want to fix everything. If I called them up right now, they'd want to go do anything you want. I'm sure the snow removal's rough, the potholes are probably rough where you're talking about, am I right? And you bring in these local guys, and they're just like, yeah, we want to fix it. But then you go to the administration that's in their fancy offices in Columbus, and you sit down and you just start hitting a brick wall after a brick wall. And I just keep hammering away at it. You've had more relationship with them.
Well, what's the issue, and maybe I can.
Well, I mean, the roads going into downtown on Market Street are terrible. I mean, they're building downtown up, but the way to get there is bad.
And that's on State Route 7?
Yes.
So what we can do is we can talk to District 4. I'm District 4, you're District 4. So as he was saying, we have a district, our branch, our area is District 4 for the state. We can talk with them to say, hey, can you look at this and tell us when you're going to do the upgrades or what's going on that we can get this road looked at, and then we can get back to you and find out.
From the hospital out in Borden, from North Lima, clear down to downtown here. It's so bad.
ODOT has promised me in the next 6 years that Market and South Avenue are going to be completely redone all the way down. Now that's not good enough for me. That's too long. I mean, you should be able to tell me it should be like 1 year or 2 years. I can live with that. 6 year window I think is too long. So we have to, and sometimes you could jump that. I know with Western Reserve, there were so many accidents on Western Reserve, and the same thing goes with Raccoon. They actually had those slated to go like 6 or 7 years, and they leapfrogged them. So I think what Sean and I are going to have to do, we're going to have to put a lot of heat to see if we can get that pushed up.
Well, we'll talk to them and find out.
So bad.
Okay.
And that's going to stop the rebirth of downtown Youngstown's wonderful right now. I got to be honest with you, I've never seen downtown Youngstown look this good. Now, my dad says when we had all the stores downtown Youngstown was better than New York City.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, and I think back then, though, we used to have live chickens. I think you're going back a few years, but I think downtown Youngstown looks wonderful right now. In the north side looks wonderful, but how about the south side? How about the east side? The east side's where we grew up.
Yeah.
You know, on Early Road, on Lansdowne, that's where my family's from. We're all Golden Bears. And my wife has family from the south side. Now, back in the day, Lucius and all those were beautiful streets. How are we going to bring back those neighborhoods if the main artery is a mess? So I agree with you. I think it's
Uptown is
huge.
bad. From there going on downtown is
Yeah.
so bad.
I agree. Any other questions? That's a good one, though.
What about that beer place? I mean, that Joseph that built that.
Mitchell Joseph,
Yeah,
the
what's
Chill
gonna
King.
happen with that they threw everybody out of that area because they were gonna do such wonderful things. They built an ugly building and that's it, and they threw everybody out.
Well, suppose this is where we're at with that. It's funny because I was just pushing for this at Thanksgiving. So Joseph Mitchell or Mitchell Joseph, he came up with this whole philosophy, and he has all these patterns on how to get a can of pop or a can of beer at room temperature. You push this thing on the bottom with this new technology, it brings it to 36 degrees in 2 seconds. So supposedly with all these patents which are now secured, he had to sign first to Budweiser, Heineken, and Coors. So supposedly those deals are done with those plants, and his technology is inside those plants. The plant in Youngstown, now his grandfather was Golden Age Beverage, which used to deal with my grandpa. That's the exact same location that Golden Age Beverage was on in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s. So for his mind, he wanted to bring it back full circle. That's why he was adamant of building on that specific location. What that location is going to be is for the smaller breweries. If you have a smaller brewery or a smaller pop company, say like whether it's Fago or Penguin Beer, Penguin City Beer, or maybe even Rolling Rock, he would do smaller production lines at that facility. Because that facility, I think he said he really is only capable of doing 50 to 75,000 bottles or cans at that capacity, and Budweiser would need millions. So supposedly we're on a 2 or 3 year delay because he was taking care of Heineken and Coors and Budweiser with the big production. Now, having said that, he's promising to start here. The question is when. We need that right now. Supposedly it's supposed to be 600 jobs. We need those jobs right now. We need that money in our tax base. So we're going to hold his feet to the fire. He's always returns the emails and the phone calls, but I need him to pull the trigger. Let's get it going. That's where we're at right now with that.
That's just like 80. They have to do something about I-80 and Route 11. There are so many accidents. I was on my house when I came to Youngstown 65 years ago was on Tyndale, right off of South Avenue, and between Gibson and South Avenue. They took my house. We paid $6,000 for my house. My husband was going to college at Youngstown State. They gave us $6,300. They wouldn't even give us a loan to buy another house after they threw us out of that one. In 6 months, we had to leave.
Oh my.
We come up here, and I-80 is such a hazard that they built that thing with so many curves in there.
I know.
I mean, don't they think before they do something? And then connecting all of these things, how come they didn't put connected 680 with 80 and 11? There's no connection. If you see the way Belmont Avenue looks at night.
7-Eleven.
The 7-Eleven fix that now?
Thanks to Mr. Traffic.
7-Eleven.
So they did, one thing that they saw for safety, they made it, instead of 2 lanes, they made it 3 lanes.
Now it's gonna be, they said that it's big enough that they're gonna do 6 lanes.
That I haven't heard, but the traffic has increased, and for safety, they have increased. Now, we had a lot of problems when they were doing that construction, but now that that's abated, it's the accident rate has gone down. But they went from 2 lanes, because I drive that going to Columbus, and before they did that, it was pretty crazy. But
Yeah.
now that they've got it to 3 lanes, it's gotten better.
And those barriers, they should have it all the way around from Liberty Street in Girard, where the steel mill is.
Yep.
They should have it all the way up to EJ Block School. Because if you hear the noise that there is from those trucks,
Oh, yeah.
it's horrendous.
When I first got elected in the House, that was a major problem. We got the Liberty part done. We still have
And
to
it's so
keep it
noisy.
steady.
I live right there, and when I bought the house up there, they said, oh, it'll be at least 20 years. Well, I got in the house, and And I got cursed, within 3 years I had a highway in my
I
backyard.
don't believe it.
I don't mind a highway, I know we have to have progress and all, but do it the right way. I mean, these people look at the money, they don't look at the after effects of the money.
It's almost always the way it goes, isn't it?
That's just
Yeah.
like Lordstown and all, they're gonna build TJ Maxx, they're gonna build the Workhorse, which is the battery. My son had told me, cause he works with all the cars up in Michigan, and he told me a year before that thing was gonna come in. But everything is gonna be all condensed, what about the other parts of our?
So they're
our
looking
city?
at the exchange there, the Turnpike Exchange in Lordstown, and making it better, because it is a little congested there, making that better. Lordstown Motors is going into GM, they're already, so it's not
Yeah.
building a new one. TJX is gonna be right across the street, there shouldn't be much congestion for the residents, because they're right there, and they can get right on the turnpike and get out of there. So when they build it, that's why they kind of build it there, so they can have less problems and delays with traffic on that area. And ODOT is looking at building a new ramp possibly there to
But it's
accommodate
all in one
homes.
section.
It is all in one section. It is. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know what the bills are named, but the Youngstown, city school bill that, law, that last, election, we were electing new,
House Bill 70.
yeah.
Board members.
And board members, and then we didn't even know if they were going to serve, but they made a deal, some kind of deal, I don't know if it's going forward, that they will serve. And then there's supposed to be a remedy in the Senate or in the
House Bill
House.
150.
There's a lot to this, and I didn't mean to be such an expert on it, but I probably have about 300 hours involved in it. So I do not sit on the education board of the state, but I was a school board member for public schools for 8 years, 3 years as president. I saved the school district from going into financial ruins and brought it right out of there. We still have $9 million in the bank, and we actually lowered property value by 10%. I mean, not property value, property taxes by 10%. So that's in Leetonia. So I get involved with the Youngstown City Schools to see if we can help it. House Bill 70 passed before I was ever in office. I didn't really understand it completely. It's a very, very complex, problematic situation we have with the Youngstown School District. There is a House bill called House Bill 154. One of my best friends wrote it, named Don Jones. In 154, it corrects the academic distress problem, okay? But it was never finished on the back end of it. And it was designed to help 3 different schools districts which are really having problems. Number 1, Youngstown. Number 2, East Cleveland. Number 3, Lorraine. The problem with these areas are Youngstown has 11 Fs in a row, okay? My personal situation and my personal approach to fixing it is I think we need to start by changing the Ohio scorecard and how we do state testing. If you look back before the state testing that was put in when Strickland and Kasich were taking over, Ohio was in the top 5 in the country. We put these state testings in, now we're in the bottom 35 to the bottom 40 in the country. When I was on the school board in Leetonia, one of the biggest problems that my young teachers said is, I hate this school testing. I teach for the testing. So in my opinion, I think that's where the problem truly begins. With the Youngstown, it's a little bit different. Chris Mohip was the first CEO of House Bill 70 before I ever got in. From my research, he started off good and it ended up horrible. I know just from talking with Pastor Simon and some of the other different leaders in Youngstown that we have to get rid of this academic distress committee, that it really has not been the solution to it. But what do we do in the meantime? How do we fix that? 154 has 3 or 4 amendments that have been attached to them, and 2 of them are pretty bad amendments, and the teachers union are against them. My situation when we look at something like this is everyone needs to come to the table. The elected school board members, which is a constitutional elected body, they should be running the school district, okay? But that's easier said than done. In my opinion, when we were doing this 154, we came out with wraparound, turnaround services. We have a tool chest of 8 different functions that a school that is in academic distress could reach out to. where you could go to like the University of Virginia, which is #1 in the country for fixing schools that are in academic distress. They address every aspect of that problem, everything from dealing with your financing with your treasurers, to having a mentorship with the teachers, to mentoring the superintendent. So here's something else. Do you realize in the state of Ohio that close to 60% of our public educated kids cannot literally see? They need eyeglasses. 27 or 28% are going through personal trauma. So here's some different things that I don't think most of us had to worry about when we were just living the American dream of going to school every day and not worrying about it. These kids are worrying about a lot of other different things. They're worried about being bullied. They're worried about their home life. They're worried about they can't see. There's so many different problems that need to be addressed so we can have a natural place for them to learn. And then we're going to have to help the school actually have help on the other side with wraparound and turnaround services. The problem I'm seeing with this, everyone has such a strong opinion on how to fix it. They're not listening to the other side. And I think Sean is seeing this too. So for me in Youngstown, we're trying to get everyone at the table. Whether you're the new CEO, whether you're the school board, whether you're the teachers union, whether you're Coach Tressel, whether you're the pastors of Youngstown, whoever you are, we need to get together. We need to fix this. In my opinion, 154 fixes it because House Bill 70 was horrible. House Bill 70 has already had 5 years and made Youngstown worse. So we know that's a problem. So we have to try something else. So in my opinion, I think we need to get everyone to the table. They need to put their input into 154, make it a better bill, maybe even make it a little bit more customized for the problems that Youngstown has, because Youngstown can't keep going on just having more Fs. We got to pull it out of there. And I think we could do it. The kids are amazing. I mean, I've been to East High at least 4 or 5 times in the last year. And the programs they have going on, I mean, they have all kinds of academic challenge. They have speech. I mean, the sports are great. They have outreach program. The alternative school, Jennifer Merritt runs that. Those are the kids that failed out of the Youngstown School District. They go into the Youngstown Alternative School. She's up to almost 89% graduation. She's addressing these school trauma problems. She's addressing the wraparound turnaround services. I hope we can get there. Sean and I have tried to keep everyone's temper down, keep everyone at the table, keep the communication going. Because if you just get in, have you been to a Youngstown School Board meeting?
No, but I've read enough about it.
They're rough. They're screaming, they're yelling, and it breaks my heart. I've been to 3 of them. I usually sit in the back. I don't say a word unless someone wants me to, because I figure there's enough people. I don't have to be the leader on it. I don't have to get a W for it. I just want to fix it. I'll do anything to fix it. We're not there. I think it's going there because it has to go there. You have to get rid of 70. You have to get 154 in there. We have to fix it.
And what about these schools that get money? Charter schools. Charter schools. Are they more accountable to the state in any way?
With the charter, there was a huge problem. What was the charter school problem? The one that was huge? ECOT gave every charter school in the state a bad reputation. ECOT was a horrible charter school where you had some very notorious CEOs running that, and they pretty much got in a lot of trouble. So what the State House did before I got into office is they put new laws in to regulate that. Am I right? You might want to take up on this.
No, and that is some of the things that, are we comparing apples to apples? Are public schools held to the same standard that charter schools are? And that's what we're trying to, because there weren't. And that's one of the things in 154 and other bills that we're trying to, look, if it's a charter school and it's working, I want kids educated and I don't care how they do it. But public education, when we take and give it the money for them to a charter school that isn't performing and doesn't have the same criteria, doesn't have the same responsibility, it's not going to, that's not right. And that's a misuse of our money, our taxpayer money. So those are some of the bills that he was talking about we're trying to do. Yes, sir.
I'm impressed with the two of you. I've never seen a Democrat or Republican talk.
Well, after this, we get in the boxing ring and box for 20 minutes.
They're talking to each other, not at each other. And this is amazing. If I get nothing else out of this program, I've learned something that it has to be this way, all the way, and I'm impressed with what you've said so far.
Thank you.
I want to keep it on a positive note.
Oh, thank
Because
you.
I've heard enough negative stuff.
I think we all have.
And that doesn't work. And you're the first Democrat or Republican that I have seen that can actually talk to each other, not at each other.
Keep it going.
If I learn nothing else,
You made my day. That's so sweet.
you've got to
Thank you.
convince the rest of them.
We're working on it. We're working on
Doesn't it start at the home?
It's quite a job itself.
It
it.
is.
Tell the story on how we did the commercial.
Dale
Then it
Carnegie
followed.
wrote a book on how to win friends and influence people.
Well,
Yes.
for
And
Chris,
everybody ought to get a copy of it. I've did a study of it, I've read it, I've put classes on, and you've got to talk to people, not at people.
that's
And
awesome.
this is so important.
So at Thanksgiving, we broke for Thanksgiving, and Sean says, "Oh, I'm gonna take you out to lunch. I'm gonna take you out to lunch." So this was like Thanksgiving. This is the Monday before Thanksgiving. So I'm ringing register and Boardman. We had the girl call off. So he shows up. He shows up and he goes, "Well, are we going to lunch?" And I go, "So I made him bag groceries." So I'm ringing. He's bagging groceries.
Sometime we take bipartisan fault.
Well, customers are coming up, and I gotta be honest with you. This lady comes up and she starts crying. She says, "I can't believe what I'm seeing here," just like you said. And that's what he says, because this is insane that it's such a big deal that we're working together. And that's what this lady says. She says, "I love this country." She says, "I can't stand that what you're seeing in Washington is just that we want to destroy each other, and they're pulling our country apart. They're literally pulling it apart." So we didn't have time for lunch that day. We just go to Dunkin' Donuts, and we're drinking a coffee down. And he says, "I got an idea." And I go, "What?" He goes, "Why don't we do a commercial where we thank everybody for allowing us to work together?" So Sean and I did this Christmas commercial where I don't know if you saw it on TV, where we thanked everybody for letting us work together in a bipartisan way. And I think last time we checked between his office and my office and the stores, we've had close to 1,000 phone calls or emails thanking us for doing that. So I don't think you're the only one. I think everybody wants it. I think everyone's had it.
Everybody wants it, but the ones in Washington and the elected offices over there don't agree with that. They want to talk at each other, and all they do is fight and fart around and.
You got to get the money out of it, though. The money's what ruins it. You're right. The money ruins it.
That's my question. So how, you two working together this well, I saw the commercial and I told Nicole, I said, "I just love that commercial." I love it. I love that you're here today. But my question is how you can work so closely together and being on, different party lines. How can you help to pull things together out of Washington?
Well, people see what we're doing and how it's working for our area, and then they try it in their areas. For instance, when we did that commercial, after it went and kind of went viral, the president of the Senate and the minority leader saw what we did. They got together and did their commercial together. So they were following our example.
It's spreading, yeah.
So when we work together and people see, and then we're getting things done, and we're doing it in a bipartisan way, it catches. And people like success. You want to build on each success. And it's just like an avalanche. As you get more and more and more, it'll get bigger and bigger and better and better.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you gotten an invitation from Dan Rivers or Ron Burke to get on there?
We've been on it together.
Yeah.
We've been on it together. Yeah, we've actually done it. Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, we've actually, Dan Rivers has reached out. Here's something with today. I live down where Salem and Latonia meet, and there's a guy owns a very, very big business in his district. And he says, I'm looking to expand my business, add an extra 50 jobs. I would love to meet my state senator up there. And I said, that's my best friend. So I call him up. I said, can we get lunch? So we had lunch right before here, and we're going to get 50 new jobs for the Niles, Girard area, which is his district. It's my guy who just wants to keep growing with more businesses. And so his law office called, said, your 1:30 canceled. He goes, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm going to go in to speak to the Ohio Living Center, and we're going to talk about all kinds of different issues. He goes, you want me to ride shotgun? I'm like, yeah. And it's just cool because, I didn't even think he was coming. I think you were surprised when I showed up. And here we are, and it's just, that's the kind of relationship we're developing. In fact, we'll get to you in a second. Him and I are going to be going probably out of the country in the next month or two here, because we got a couple really brand new things we're working on to bring more jobs here. And he has a wonderful wife. My wife's wonderful. They put up with us, and we just keep going. You know?
Well, as the social worker here, and you know, my role is to provide advocacy and outreach and supportive service. These folks in this room and many others are very dependent on Mahoney County Senior Levy. And I hope
Same
that
thing in
that's
Trumbull.
Oh, yeah.
okay, and I'm hoping that that's continuing to be
The big priority for both
big
of us.
priority,
Yeah.
right.
We support the levy and all that because you see what it does in transportation and the places like
Do you want
this.
to talk about the transportation thing we did? Expand the services?
You're on a roll.
Well, so Sean and I were able to secure some extra funds to expand the services within the corridor. And lucky for us, WRTA really stepped up to the plate. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure, especially seniors, what we noticed is, in Columbiana in particular with cards and with yours, is that the way some of the routes and schedules are, say if you have a doctor's appointment at say 8:30 in the morning, well maybe the route is there at 7 in the morning. So now we have to drop you off at 7 in the morning when you don't have a doctor's appointment till 8:30 in the morning. So we noticed that there were holes in the accessibility, especially for shut-ins throughout our corridor that we got to sort of start right there, you know. And so like WRTA, and I think even your transportation, I know carts in Columbiana, what they're doing is they're getting more of these little shuttle vans. So if there's something, you know, specific, if you have to be somewhere very specifically at a time, maybe you have more handicaps, so getting on a bigger bus isn't as an option. We're going to be able to get the right vehicle at the right location at the right time so you don't miss those appointments, because some of these appointments are extremely important. You know,
And
whether
you're expanding the services,
Yeah.
that's the big thing too. WRTA is gonna work with Trumbull County's transit and be able to go from here to Trumbull County. And then one thing we wanna do is expand that to, as he said, to Columbiana County, because they're really hurting for transportation there. And same thing, I represent Ashtabula as well. So we're working, trying to get those services expanded to those areas that really need them. And our area definitely needs them. And that's one thing I will say the governor has been willing to step up and add more money too, so.
And when you look at what we're talking about, and I think this is a good way to bring this sort of into a conclusion type of a forum here. Ohio has 12 million people. Together, we're 750,000, okay? You know, once again, a house divided. Together we stand. Because when I say to Columbus, hey, there's 778,000 people that are going to be voting you in or out of office. I don't care if you're a governor. I don't care if you're Secretary of State. I don't care if you're the auditor. I don't care who you are. You will be accountable. And we're going to make sure you're accountable.